start with our hands down by our sides and get ourselves into our postural checkup. Alrighty, so just hands down by your sides, reach the middle finger down the side seam of the trousers. Just feel it just slightly sliding down, a little small amount, maybe a millimeter or so. Maybe it's just the sense of your shoulders just lowering from your earlobe slightly. But let's go ahead and find that just gentle lengthening through the arm joint. At the same time, of course, as you breathe in, start to think of just drawing yourself up through that mid-spine. So as the hands reach down, the spine is going to be reaching up through the crown of the head with your inhale. And just noticing and imagining these ribs pressing out to the side of you. Visualize and feel the rib cage just moving into that space between the upper chest and the arm, okay? That's the area you're looking to try and expand into. Okay, and then also then if you were a bird's eye view looking down from the ceiling onto the top of the head, the rib cage, like a bird cage, is around this mid-torso section, this mid-thoracic section. And you're going to imagine it reaching out every time you exhale. So not only to the sides, but also to the back and front as well. So you're just trying to avoid that breathing into the belly space here below the rib cage. And with this next breath in, not only are you going to feel like you're growing through the spine, but try and imagine yourself a growth is also through the whole of the lower limbs as well. So you're trying to imagine yourself elongating through this pelvic area. Imagine the space you're creating slightly between the top of the thigh bone and the hip socket there. Maybe you can visualize yourself growing through the knee joint, maybe even through the ankle joint, as you try and make yourself as weightless as possible in the soles of the feet. And then as you exhale, go ahead and draw in that belly to spine and go and think about that section through your middle, that waist section, drawing in away from the top, your t-shirt, as you exhale. And just fire up the pelvic floor area this morning, just get it fired up and awoken as you exhale, just drawing in the areas around wind and water. So just gently as you exhale, just go ahead and say hello to the front and back passages, ensuring that they're just a little bit more switched on. Okay, and one more breath in. And exhale. And open your eyes. Okay, so we're going to just do a couple of options here for you guys. You can either have your hands across your chest like so, alrighty, or we're going to take ourselves into straight jacket, but sometimes it might not feel comfortable for you. Straight jacket is where you're actually reaching around and see if you can feel around that back area of the shoulder blades there. So I'm not looking to get you to hunch around the neck, okay, or the shoulder joint itself, but reaching around. And just go ahead for 1 second for me, whichever version is comfortable for you, and just breathe in and notice the movement of the arms, or perhaps the chest moving into that arm space. And notice that movement of the rib cage. Now with your eyes closed or open, I don't mind, just visualize these ribs like a stack of hula hoops, okay, on top of each other, perfectly stacked, each one interconnecting from the front of the chest bone and around into the spine there behind you, and then with a couple of floaty hanging on ribs at the base at the front. We don't need to worry about those too much, but imagining that stack of hula hoops. And then I want you to now just open your eyes and release the hands and just find the area underneath your rib cage. Find this bony mass at the front of the rib cage here. And I want you to follow that mass of bones around to the side. It gets a little bit less apparent where that is to the sides, but just follow. And I want you to pop your hands onto your fingers and your thumbs onto the lower part of the rib cage there. So you're not hands on hips or into the waist, but really find that your fingers and thumbs are connecting underneath that lower part of the rib cage. Okay, so with a breath in, I want you to feel that everything below the hands are nice and still. I want you to allow your front ribs to just gently draw closer together, just the front ribs. So there's no lift or arch in the lower spine. You're just allowing the ribs to come together, and then gently bring your gaze to the horizon and your eye line to front, breathing in. Exhale, gently pull those ribs to the front of you together, a small little move. And perhaps you'll feel that response of the skull, the neck and the chin as you gently pull the ribs together. Your gaze might drop slightly, your chin might drop slightly, and responding to the rib cage connection. Okay, this forward movement, okay, this flexion of the front of the rib cage is slightly easier for us. We're now going to think about working in the opposite way. So we're going to think about now the back of the ribs, the back of those hula hoops. As you gently try and draw those hula hoops together towards the back of you, It may be a very small lift of your gaze. We're not looking to go into great back extension because that uses the lumbar spine. Everything below the finger and thumb either side of you is really super still. I want you to see if you can isolate the rib cage, this upper thoracic area, as you gently now visualize and feel what happens when those ribs slightly pull to the back of you. Again, the head might just respond slightly with lifting slightly. The gaze might lift slightly. The chin might lift slightly. Very small moves and come back to center. Okay, restart those hula hoops perfectly equidistant front and back. Just one more either side now to the lateral, to the side. We're going to think about, again, everything's still below the hands, and then let the ribs under the armpit space there just gently pull closer together and come back to center. Let's do 2 more that side. I don't remember which side you're heading over. I'm heading over towards the right now, so just gently easing the ribs down to the right. And one more. No hip move, nothing really going on in that hip and pelvic area. Come back to center and then over towards the left rib cage pulling slightly together and to center. Notice the space between the armpit and that finger and thumb on the left. Just gently getting closer, getting smaller, just shrinking together. And we have one more. And then bring yourself back to center. Release the arms by your sides. Wonderful. Okay, go ahead and take, so that's got to given us an idea of how we can isolate this rib cage, thoracic upper spine area, because the spine, of course, is responding. Go ahead and pop your legs now into what we call tightrope. So your front foot is in a little cue in front of your back foot. If you do struggle in tight ropes, this is a bit of a balance challenge. You can then broaden that step slightly to the side. You've got a bit more space and a slightly wider base. All right, your hands coming to the front and the shoulder height, palms faced in, fingers, can we glue them together, please? Now, the hands and arms and shoulders are currently in one level, okay? They're parallel to the floor there. They do not lower or raise. I want you to now reach your fingertips further towards the front of the room and me, so you gently arch and curve across the shoulder blades. They're now broadening away from each other, so it's almost a C. Keep your gaze to the horizon if you can, and then gently now do the opposite. Pull the shoulder blades together, drawing those shoulders behind you and squeezing in towards each other over the spine, forwards towards the front, expanding across those shoulder blades and to the back. Mindful, of course, that these elbows aren't bending. Okay, the arms stay perfectly straight from shoulder through to fingertip, and you're thinking the spine is staying nice and upright, and all you're doing is gently separating the shoulder blades, closing the chest muscles, and then drawing the shoulder blades together, opening the chest muscles. Okay, so simple, what we call protraction and retraction as you head backwards of those shoulders together. Okay, pausing in your center position, just gently switch your legs so you have your other leg front. Okay, switching their little place and position in the cue. Again, mindful that you can separate the legs if you need to. Legs are reasonably straight if you can. All right, there might be some wobbling going on, that is fine. All right, now I want you to just gently take your hands out to a goalpost position. So now your elbows are in alignment with your shoulders. All righty. I want you to now think you've got 2 little arrows underneath your shoulder blades there behind you guys, or perhaps 2 little strings on your elbows. The sensation now I want you to feel is that you pull your shoulder blades slightly down. I'm not asking you to bring your elbows to your waist, but I'm thinking, can you pull your shoulder blades down towards your back pockets and then release? It's again a small move. I'm not asking you, as I say, to draw down with the elbows. This is not about moving that humerus bone. It's about drawing the shoulder blades down towards your back pockets, and you should feel that sense of them almost spreading broadly down your back. If you are just pulling your shoulder blades together, the telltale for me will be noticing that your elbows will be moving behind you. That is what you were doing a moment ago with our retraction of the shoulder blades. This is a pull down where the shoulder blades ease down the back. Okay, led by the shoulder blades, not by the elbows. Notice the difference, please. Spread the shoulder blades down. And last one, pull shoulder blades down and release the hands by your sides. Okay, The differences are important, and we will come back to those a little bit in class. So go ahead and step away towards the end of the mat and just find the bounciness, the gentle relaxation through the ankles and knees. All right, so you've just got a soft knee. We're going to roll down with a soft knee to begin with. So soft knees, tummy in, and gently think about the spine being long. Tuck your chin into your throat space and start to peel down. One vertebrae at a time, rolling down as if you're a piece of sellotape just peeling off the wall, head towards the floor. Gently with those knees now, softly, you can pop your hands onto the floor. And I want you to go ahead and walk forwards with these hands towards the front of the mat. So right out there to the front of the mat, and find for me your plank position where your hands are under your shoulders and you're feeling nice and long, pretty much in parallel to the floor with the bottom. Wonderful. Now, notice the neck is long and the heels are there right at the other end of you. I want you to lead with your heels. You're going to now press your heels down towards the floor as you lift your bottom. Pressing the heels towards the mat as you lift your bottom, your head will come to sink in between your arms and elbows into your V stretch position. Alrighty, in that V stretch position, I want you to now lift up your heels, so you're right onto those toes, the back of those toe joints there. Now I'm going to ask you to bring your chin into your throat space, spread those shoulder blades, so you've really broadened between the shoulder blade area. Now the tummy comes in, lift with the rib cage, and we're going to peel ourselves forward, almost articulating as pull forwards into a plank, and then roll the shoulders through and you're back into your plank position. Soften the knees slightly for me, guys, and walk your hands back towards your toes. We're going to do that. Again, roll back up. No rush with the roll up, please. Remember, the pelvic floors are in, the chin is into chest, restack, and into standing with a straight leg, grow tall. Find the space in the spine with the breath in. Soften the knees, rolling down, gently peeling down towards the floor, mobilizing the spine. Let's go ahead and walk forwards into plank. Planking now with your hands under your shoulders, nice and long, stretching from the crown to the heels. Start this move with a press of the heels down towards the floor. So you've got stretch to the calf muscles, head comes to sink between the arms. Lifting now those heels, pull in the belly, chin comes into your chest, spread the shoulder blades, really push them apart and start to articulate the spine as you roll through into plank. And one more time, soften the knees, walk the hands back towards your feet and up into standing, growing tall when you're in your standing position. The third time, find extra space in the spine. Soften the knees for your bendy knees, rolling down, peel forwards and into plank. Find the length now in this position through the spine from the crown to the heels. Again, feel the press from the heels as the bottom lifts up. Press the heels and the hands come between the elbows. Lift the heels into your lovely high toe, high heel position. Then you tuck your chin into your chest, pull the belly into the spine, lift the rib cage, which immediately spreads the shoulder blades, and peel forwards and into plank. Gorgeous, well done. From here, we're just going to gently soften the knees, push back into child's pose, and pause for a second in child's pose there. From here, you're going to tuck your toes under, and if it's available to you, push over into a small ball or perhaps a little crouch position, and then we're going to walk our hands to feet and roll back up into standing. Come back into the center of the mat and go ahead and find your V Pilates turnout or V position where your heels are together and your legs are zipped in. Find the hands at the back of the head, interlace them gently if you wish, and thumbs are on your jawline or under the ears. Okay. All righty, think about those ribs again for me, please. Okay, when the hands come up, the ribs tend to open to the front. So try and find that nice even spacing between the ribs. First of all, the heels are going to stay down. Please for me as you breathe in. We're going to separate the legs into a gentle frog's leg position so the knees come out towards the toes. Okay, and see how far you can get without those heels lifting. Draw yourself back up and be mindful as you come back up that you zip those legs together. Okay, breathing in. Exhale, send those knees away. Pausing, breathe in. Exhale as you zip those legs together. Okay, we're going to do 4 more. Breathe in. Exhale as you send those knees away. Find that press into the ankle joint. Breathe in. Exhale, drawing those legs together and zipping right up into that buttock area and in the thighs. Down we go. We're pausing, breathe in, exhale, and zip back up. Okay, so this might be a level that's just available to you, and you might not prefer, or you might prefer to stay where you are. If you can head on for progression, we're going to go further now by lifting our heels when we get into the frog's leg. So breathe in, exhale as you drop your knees out towards those toes. Breathing in, you can either head back up and zip the legs, or you can exhale, start to lift the heels. And as you lift, try and keep the heels together. Sorry, try and keep those heels pressing together. That's it. As you lift the heels, the knees come further out. And as you come back up, the heels sink to the floor and you zip the legs together. Okay, so let's do it again. Breathing in, heels stay down as you find your maximum range as those knees head to the side. Out into the frog. Now you're going to breathe in, exhale, lift the heels, keep them glued together if you can, as much as you can. The glued knees are, so heels are glued, but the knees still bend. Okay, so once you've got your maximum range with a heel lift, you're then trying to find that deepening with the knee joint. Okay, well done. Breathing in. Let's do 2 more. And exhale as we head down with our knees broadening, heels are down. Breathe in and exhale as you lift the heels. They're still glued together. Force the knee joints to deepen into that lovely angle. And as you come back up, everything comes down to the floor and zips together. Last one, breathing in, exhale. Sinking deeper, deeper, deeper. If the heels do separate, it's not a problem, not too much of a problem. It's just an ideal attempt, if possible, for those heels to stay together. That's it. And then release back down. Gorgeous. Okay, arms down by our sides, feet in parallel as we turn towards the full length of the mat, and hands are going to be just in your prayer position, just in that chest area. So your thumbs are against the chest, fingertips pointing up towards your chin. Okay, I'd like you to gently take your left heel off the mat. So you're onto those toes again on the left side, just pressing onto the toes. Once you've got yourself in balance, so your hips are now again, they've found their nice symmetry, so you're not lifting the left hip towards the ceiling, you're on parallel to the floor. Go ahead and just gently soften the right knee, okay? Not to the same extent as the left, but just take it off lock back for me. Okay, from here, we're going to look to hinge. We're not looking to articulate the spine. I'd just like you to bring your chest and your hands down towards the front of you. You may not get obviously into a complete right angle, but go ahead and find that hinge. From your tailbone to your crown is still nice and flat. We've got this flat back here. Now it's the left leg I'm asking you to send slightly away behind you. You might need to take small little rabbit hops to get that leg behind you if you struggle with balance, or go ahead and slide that left leg out. Toenails are down. If you struggle with toenails down, you can obviously pop your toes, the back of the toes down to give you a bit more standing support. If you feel you can hinge further, finding a little bit more hinge if you can. And whether you want to just do small little hops with that back leg, or you can go ahead and lift your back leg to hip height, the range is your modification. You can take whatever level you want, depending on your perhaps glute strength, your core strength, and your balance ability. Okay, so you're looking to just lift and lower that left leg. It might be, as I say, a small little rainbow hop, but you're thinking that weight is through that front leg, that weight is through the front quadricep and indeed the hamstring, with a slight bend in the knee as you lift. If you can and you feel like you're able to pause and hover and hold this leg out behind you, you can perhaps bring yourself into an airplane by lowering the chest even further, depending on your balance. You can even head out with those arms into T, out by your sides to complete those aeroplane wings. Totally up to you. If you're just doing gentle hops, you can gently then bring that leg back underneath you now and draw yourself back into standing. Okay, shake out the arms and legs if you wish. We're going to go ahead and see if we can work on the other side. A lot of difference between the sides of balance. So let's see how this side gets on. Find your heart space, shoulder blades back and down, bellies in. First things first, is you're stood here with the legs straight. I want you to bend your right leg. So you're resting on your right toes. Really find the step into the right toes for me. And then we soften the left knee just off lock and start the hinge. So your left knee is just slightly bent as you come into your first stage of hinge. Still feeling like you're nice and flat back. Yes, yeah, wonderful. And either small little steps towards the back of the mat, or go ahead and send that right leg out behind you. Again, you can be toes down if you would rather, or flatten the front of the foot now so the toenails are down and onto the mat. If you can hinge more deeply, This is a chance perhaps for the leg behind you to do so, and then see how we feel with the lift of the right leg. As you lift the right leg, perhaps it might be small little lifts to begin with, toenails touching down in between. Perhaps it's your feet slightly more down on the floor, so your toes perhaps allow you to just do a small hop and lift to challenge your balance, and perhaps you can go ahead and lift to bottom height. Okay, so take the level that you're comfortable with. If you can, we're going to now head into a hold. All righty, isometric hold, or continue lifting. If you don't think the hold is for you, you can lower the chest further. You can head into those aeroplane wings to your side if you wish, and pausing for 3, 2, 1. Then everyone drawing yourself back into your standing position, and see how that feels with a bit of a shake off. Okay, wonderful. Off to the end of the mat one more time, and we're going to head down into a plank. So once you're here, let's go ahead with a straight leg to begin with, roll down. So chin comes into your chest place and peeling down. Get to your maximum range with a straight leg for me, please, which might be your hands heading towards the knees, maybe your shins or ankles. Once you've got to that place, just hang for a moment, just hang there. Maybe wiggle the toes, make sure you've got a bit of weight in those toes as well. Belly is in, see how that feels as you create that belly to back area of your spine, let the head hang. If you then aren't quite down towards the mat, please go ahead and bend the knees, and we're going to come forwards into that plank position. So off we go to the front edge of the mat one more time. Okay, from here when you're in plank position, again in parallel to the floor, I'd like you to lower both knees down, but don't dump into that pelvis, okay? So you've really got a feather touch with the knees, and you've still got that belly pulling in. Lower, please, your right elbow to where your right hand print is currently, and your forearm is down. And go ahead and do the same with the left. So we're in what we call our Sphinx position, palms down and forearms are down. So again, you're still feeling like that tummy is pulling to spine, and you've got a real feather touch with that lovely, with the knees on the floor. Say hello to your toes. They should be slightly tucked under. They shouldn't have moved in the position, which means if you lift your right leg now, so your knee comes off the mat and you straighten your right leg completely, you should basically meet perfectly, and there should be no shifting the pelvis, and you've got this kind of half plank situation. Take the right knee now down, breathing in, exhale, lift your left kneecap, straightening your left leg, and really think you're stretching and engaging the front of the quadriceps. Every time you lift that leg, draw that kneecap as much as you can up towards the hip direction, okay? We call it quad setting. It's that sense of really engaging as if you are straightening and stiffening the front of the leg as much as you can on one side at a time. If you feel you can move into doubles, you're more than welcome as you exhale to lift both knees and you're into your Sphinx plank position, hovering the knees down gently, breathing in. The bottom doesn't move up and down in between, guys. Okay, that stays exactly where it is in space. Okay, roughly in alignment with your shoulders. As you touch either one down with a knee or both knees down and lift. We've got 2 more. Make this your last left and right if you're singles, or make this your last one if you're doubles. Gorgeous, well done. And then gently soften the toes back down onto the mat. Walk your hands back towards your knees into rest position, bottoms to heels. And again, this gentle pause where you breathe into this back space and exhale, just gently allowing yourselves to sink down into that shoulder stretch at the front of the shoulders. Okay. Trying to keep the elbows off the mat if you can, just so that we can allow ourselves to get that stretch through the shoulders. Okay, and then we're going to bring ourselves up into 4-point kneeling. Okay, please feel free in 4-point kneeling this week. If you want to head into triangle arms, you're more than welcome to do this piece in triangles. If you know your wrists are sometimes uncomfortable for you, just make the most of this being one you can modify in triangles. Okay, 4-point kneeling, hands under shoulders, tummies in, tuck your toes under. And from here, we're going to just think about where your shoulders are currently. Imagine they've come against a little wall here. They can't come forwards at all. So I'm not going to get you to launch at all forwards. They are set exactly over your wrists. From here, we are then going to breathe in and continuing to maintain a flat back, just simply double knee float where both knees come off the mat by about 1 or 2 centimeters, and then they sink back down. So perhaps find a little bit of a press in the little finger and perhaps even the outside edge of your hand. And maybe even that sense of almost starting to feel the pull down under your armpit area of those ribs. Do you remember the hula hoops we talked about? That sense of them pulling down now towards the pelvis. And it's kind of an equal pull, front, back, and sides. As you bring the knees up, you're pulling down, down, down on the ribs. And of course, they are also connected to the shoulders, so they're keeping your shoulders from going forwards in front of that wall. All kind of connected. Last two, simple double knee float. Last one, we're going to pause in double knee float. Now, what we are going to attempt to do might be quite tricky now. If you do find it's tricky, you're more than welcome to immediately take the knees back down, because we're going to now, in hover or with knees down, take one leg out behind you and reach it out at bottom height if you can. Lower down is fine too, if that's a bit easier, but really both are quite tricky. So if you're struggling, it's probably easier to bring your knees down onto the floor in between. Otherwise, we're into a single double leg float where you single leg extend out behind and then come back in. Now it's very tempting as you bring, so keep switching left and right, sorry guys, if you bring your legs further in each time, of course it gets a bit easier. Be mindful that you place your foot right back where it was, knee by knee, thigh by thigh, underneath your hips, directly down towards that knee joint. Last one. And if your knees aren't on the mat, go ahead and float them back down, soften the toenails down so the front of the feet are on the mat, and release into your rest position. Okay, if you're in triangles, you may feel like you're feeling a bit smug right now, because if you weren't, you might want to take some wrist rotation. It's quite an intense piece on the wrist, so go ahead and rotate those wrists for me now. We are going to cross the heels behind us and then just sit over the heels, shifting your bottom into the middle of the mat. We're going to go ahead and peel down onto the mat and hang out here for a moment. Okay, so we remind ourselves of our imprint, that gentle sense of the lower spine engaging down onto the mat. And your chin is into your throat space, just slightly, not a great pull, not elevating the head at all, but just make sure that you feel the back of the neck is long. And as you exhale, just remind yourself of that shrinking from your top and the pulling up of the pelvic floor area. So let's engage the core. On your next exhale, I want you to just think of your chin pulling into your throat space now and lift up to look at your kneecaps and lift your arms, elevating them to roughly halfway up your thighs. Okay, and feel a bit more of a reach if you can through those fingertips, a little tiny bit more of a reach. Yeah, okay. So from here, we're then going to just gently draw those knees and feet together and squeeze your inner thighs. Find the inner thigh squeeze, and that can actually sometimes take a bit of weight off the head, neck, and shoulders and that lovely core. So just use the inner thigh muscles to help you here. When you're ready, we're going to start pumping the arms by our sides, just gently pumping the arms by your sides, but really think about your fixating on this squeeze of the knees, the inner thighs, and the pulling up of the rib cage this week, okay? Really use that connection into the middle of your legs, into the middle of the pelvis and your back and core, so that you've got that lift. Breathing in for 5 and out for 5. Well, I'm only going to do 50. So this is the 100 for those of you who know. We're going to do the 50 like this. Breathing in for 5 and out for 5 breaths, for 5 exhales. This is our last set of 10. And I want you to just peel down, down, down onto the mat. Okay, pausing here for me, looking over towards your right shoulder. So just rolling the head towards the right and come back to center. And rolling to look over your left shoulder and back to center. You can relax the legs, sorry, in between. And look over to your right. And to center. And to your left. Okay, so that can be your second or that can be your level for the second set if you want to. However, we can modify this and take this slightly higher. I want you to put your hands behind your head if you are, and just go ahead and lift your chest and your abdominal curl, okay, and find that lift as much as you can. Well done. Okay, making sure an imprint for everybody, taking your right leg into tabletop and left leg into tabletop, glue them together. Okay, so even in tabletop, these legs are glued together. If you're with your feet on the floor, then go ahead and find that squeeze as well between the knees, lifting your hands out to roughly halfway up your thighs. Feel a little bit more of a lift through the sternum and the chest. We're going to start pumping here. Okay, so you're in tabletop for the first 2 pumps, in for 5 and out for 5. In for 5, and then we're going to extend those legs out to 45. Go ahead, extend and reach. Next time, I want you to breathe in and bring the legs to 90 and lower as you exhale to 45. In to 90, exhale, into 90, exhale as you lower, and last one, into 90, exhale. Gorgeous, well done. Bring those knees into your chest, hold around the knees or the front of your shins and lift yourself up slightly more so your nose is towards your knees, okay? You're trying to imagine now that your thighs are pulling down to your chest space. Really feel that pulling in of those thigh bones a little bit more. Try and reduce that space between the thighs and your chest, please. Well done. Okay, from here, we're going to go into our double leg stretch. As we take those legs away from us to 90, I want you to pop your hands behind the back of your head. So when you're ready, breathing in, exhale, reaching the legs to 45. Did I say 45 or 90? I went 45. Reach those legs away and hold that back of the head for support, but belly is down to the mat. Bring those knees in, find that squeeze, nose pulling to knees, thighs coming into your chest space, breathe in, exhale, hands behind the back of the head, and reach those legs away. Find the space as if those thigh bones are really pulling out the hip socket. Bring those knees into your chest. We're going to do 8 more. Let's speed this up slightly, and 7. Breathe in as the knees come in, and exhale, send away. We've got 4 more. Squeeze the knees in. Feel maybe they're getting a little bit closer each time. Are your legs getting longer each time? Don't forget that nose to knees as you breathe in. And our last one. And gorgeous. Pausing here, let the head, neck and shoulders come down towards the mat and lift the legs towards the ceiling. No break, I'm afraid here. The legs are up towards the ceiling. Turn the toes slightly away from each other. So the heels are still friends and squeezed together, but the toes have just turned away. So you're in a kind of like a V shape, toes towards the corners of the room. With that, find that inner thigh squeeze, okay? Legs as straight as you can. But I want you to pull down with the abdomen. Really feel that belly to spine, really sinking in towards the mat. That's what you need. With a breath in, staying down with the upper arm, upper body for the moment. Exhale and lower both legs away from you until you feel the lower back is starting to lift. So it really might not be very far. Breathe in. Exhale, maybe a bit more intention between the knees and the upper thighs. That might feel like it's even more sharing of the load and a bit more for the lower back. Squeeze in the thighs, press that belly button down as if there was a giant standing on your tummy. As you lower the legs, you're feeling that footprint pressing down onto the belly button, keeping you in check. Last 2, exhaling as you lower to your range, of course, and last one. And gently align those toes, bring your knees back into your chest. Well done. All right, a gentle hold of the knees and a roll from side to side for a moment. Okay, place the feet back down onto the mat and arms just slightly wide of the mat, and go ahead and look over your right shoulder and take a breath in and look over the left. And one more time either side, gently over towards the right, just rotating through that neck. And back into center. Gorgeous. Okay, we're going to elevate those arms slightly higher so they're now up to your sides at T, okay, or certainly out wider than the mat, so you've got a bit of a larger imprint there with those hands and arms. Find your lower back, gently press it down into the mat, elevate your right leg into tabletop, so knee is at 90. Breathe in, don't forget that pause where you draw the core in, the belly button to spine, pelvic floors are up. In, and then your legs are now both at 90 or tabletop. Again, glue those guys together. Mindful that your knees are now together at the same height. Okay. Shoulder blades are pinned down into the mat. What we're looking for here is really that the shoulder girdle, shoulder blades stay still. And I'm looking for these knees are staying together. To be able to get your knees over towards your side, you're going to be looking for some lower back and waist movement here. The knees don't separate. It's the pelvis that will roll to the side. The knee should stay in parallel. Shoulders down if you can. Take a breath when you've got to the side and exhale as you draw those legs back to center. Okay, so let's talk that through one more time. Breathe in as the legs head to the other side, shoulder blades are down. Knees are staying together as much as they can in parallel, letting the top hip lift. So if you're heading to the left, it's the right hip that will lift. And then you come back to center. Well done. Continuing each side. If you're struggling, of course, modifications for you are here, obviously not to go so far. And you might find you want to bring the knees slightly into your chest. If you're feeling like it's getting a little bit grabby on those hip flexors, or you're feeling that today's just not your day for windscreen wipers, then bring those knees slightly further in. Okay. Modifications are also for you guys who want to maybe go ahead and explore the extended legs to the sitting position. Go ahead and do the same now, of course, with the extended lever, that long leg lever. You've got a little bit more need to control with the torso, to control with the waist. Breathing in, exhale, pulling back to center. Okay, we've got one more either side, choosing your level wisely. And coming back to center. And the knees, if they're not already at 90, place one foot down and then the other. Gorgeous. Well done. Bring your hands back by your sides. Okay, just in case all that twisting and rotating has maybe shortened the spine, go ahead and feel the length of the spine as if you're pulling your tailbone away from the crown again. Even on the mat as we lie here, find that space. Chin slightly into your throat space. Well done. Left knee comes into your chest, guys. Take your left kneecap with your right hand and pull that knee in a bit further towards you. Reach around with your left hand to find your ankle or the lower part of your shin. Okay, and again, pull that leg in towards you. Now I'd like you to lift your head, neck, and shoulders so your knees coming up to meet that left knee and reach your right leg out. It's off the mat. Your feet are kind of the same height off the mat, yes? Okay, so if you can, that's the kind of level you're looking at, as if they're both trying to reach through and touch a dartboard right at the end of the mat there. So we're now going to breathe in, exhale, and bring your right knee into your chest. We're going to hold your right knee with your left hand, and your right hand reaches around the elbow. Again, reach as if they're both pointing roughly the same height towards the end of the mat. Breathe in. And maybe lift a little bit higher with the chest. Exhale and switch. Breathe in, exhale and switch. Now, if you struggle with the switching of the hands, I'm more than happy for you to put both hands behind your shin or the kneecap and just pull that knee in accordingly. If you can change the hold of the hand, you're holding around the wrist, you're trying to keep that lower limb in alignment with your thigh bone and your hip socket, knee and ankle. Exhale as you pull the knee in. Sorry, beg pardon. Exhale as you send that leg. Yeah, that's right. The knee comes in. Exhale, breathe in as you switch. There we are. So you're exhaling, knee coming in and leg reaching away. As you're into your full reached position, exhale. For 4. That's 4 more doubles. And 3. And 2. Well done. And final one, bring both knees into your chest. A last little pull of those thigh bones towards your rib cage and peel the upper body back down onto the mat and release one leg onto the mat at a time. Well done. We're going to bring ourselves into sitting. Guys, you can roll legs to the side, or you can gently bring both knees in and roll like a ball. Or another little Pilates technique is to just single leg lift and one leg just then leave us into sitting. Okay, so find for me, if you would, we're going to start with spine stretch, roughly speaking, a hip width distance for those legs, and arms are out towards the front. So I want you to have palms down, please, this week, palms down towards the floor. Okay, find the lift from the sit bones, those sit bones right under the pelvis, the bony bits under your bottom there. I want you to find that lift as if you're sitting on those guys, all right? You're not sitting back on that lovely padded part of your bottom. So it's quite a lift you have to do to find that. Now, growing through the spine, we're going to start off with gently tucking your chin into your throat space. That's all I'm going to ask you to do. So you're now still perfectly stacked, shoulders over hips. You're going to imagine now you're pulling those ribs, as we did right at the outset, the front of the ribs. You're going to just gently pull the ribs down. And then we're going to add on by pulling the belly to spine. So you're in a slight pelvic tilt. Okay, so pulling the pelvic spine. You've still got your shoulders over the hips. Yeah. Now, when you've got that lovely opened posterior back of your spinal column, now bring your nose down towards your knees gently. And you can even then slightly head forwards with your nose heading towards your feet, still pulling in that belly to spine, and then peel back up. Okay, so let's do that one more time. Sitting nice and tall, tuck your chin into your throat space, draw the rib cage slightly down to the front and belly in. Then nose comes towards the knees. If you can, take your feet into flexion so the ankles are right angle, toes towards the ceiling. You'll get a much more complete stretch from the back of the legs right up through the back of the pelvis and the glute muscles there and up through the back. Yeah, if that's too much for you, you can soften the legs or you can just even bend the knees, okay? Totally up to you. Still be done here. If you really suffer from your hamstrings being super tight, this is the modification for you guys. Okay, finishing off there with our last one. Well done. Okay, release the hands. Bend the legs now so your feet are coming flat on the floor. All right, and go ahead and find the back of the thighs for me. So as you did perfectly there, the C curve, we're going to just explore that. We did this last week as well, so I won't bang on for too long. You've got that nice sit on the sit bones here. You've got a good hold on these legs and arms are bent. Find the chin coming into the throat space as your number one on the tick list. Then you're going to articulate that rib cage by pulling the ribs together slightly towards the front of you. Then you pull the belly to spine and maybe a little bit more pelvic tilt now, allowing you to release back so your arms are straight. Yeah, feel that press here. When you're back and you're hanging on those arms, you can feel the press of the belly button and really stretch up that lower spine. Peel yourself back up, pulling the belly in and lift nice and tall. Well done. One more time. Chin to throat, rib cage pull down, belly in, pelvic tilt, release back into arm extended. Okay, and then up into sitting. You know the move. We can let go of the legs now and arms are out at shoulder height. Breathing in, chin to throat space, rib cage pull down, belly in, pulling down. Well done. And bring yourself back up. Pause here for me. Lift your arms towards your temples. Okay, this is a little bit harder. If you struggle here, please go ahead and drop the arms back to your shoulders. Otherwise, arms are by your temples. And again, dropping your chin into your throat space, rib cage pull down, belly in, releasing back. And coming back up. Arms remain towards the ceiling. Grow tall through the spine. Breathe in, chin to chest. If your arms are out at shoulder height, again, you're still doing the same thing, peeling back, releasing back as far as you can, and then pulling back up into your sit position. Everyone now arms towards the front. We're going to pull back this time, gently easing back, chin to chest, rib cage pull down, pelvic tilt, pausing back. For all of us, making sure your feet are still flat on the floor. They might need to come in slightly. If you need to, pull that belly button in, shoulder blades back and down. We are all going to double arm float for 8. If you struggle, you can do singles, perhaps as a modification. 7. Exhale as you lift. 6. And 5. Keeping those shoulder blades down, that belly button in. And 3. And 2. And last one, where we're going to continue our peel down onto the mat, gently chin into throat space, peeling down one vertebrae at a time and pause here. If you've meandered way off the mat, find yourself back onto the middle of the mat. Now, if you have any issues with your lower back, we're going to do roll over. So you can, roll up. So you can have the little cushion, if you've got one handy, pop it under the lower back. Okay, if you suffer from a big arch in the lower back, then please go ahead and do that. If you have any back problems, that will also help you perhaps when you lift back over towards the front of the mat. Knees are bent to begin with. You might need to bring them slightly closer in. Okay, and you're going to start with sending those arms overhead to the point where you've not lifted and popped the rib cage. Okay, so do you remember at the beginning, we're trying to keep those hula hoop circles nicely running along towards the pelvis and the end of the mat there. Okay, so keep those arms to the point where they're not lifting the ribs. Breathing in. And we're going to exhale, tuck our chin into our throat space. If you need to grab hold of the back of the thighs, please do use the back of the thighs like ladders. You can walk yourself back up into sitting, sit nice and tall. If you need to use the arms to head back, you're more than welcome to use those to help you. If you are fine with the arms out, then go ahead and release the arms from the legs. I'm going to peel back down on the mat. Keep the rib cage, as I say, pulling down to the pelvis and parallel to the floor with a breath in, arms come overhead. Exhale, chin into your chest. Gently peeling yourself back up, using your legs if you need to, and sit nice and tall. We've got one more, legs bent, releasing down exactly as you did before, peeling down one vertebrae at a time, arms coming overhead. With a breath in, exhale, chin to chest, drawing yourself into sitting. Okay, so for those of you who want to take this another level, we're going to take the legs out into extension, roughly hip width apart, toes out towards your kneecaps, your ankle zone flexion. Sit nice and tall, find that lift through the spine. And we're going to go ahead and do the same again. If you want to bend the knees, please do if you were happy where you were. Okay, back into your peel back. Rolling the spine down onto the mat. Feel vertebrae by vertebrae releasing as the arms come overhead and point your toes. Get that full mat stretch, ribs are still connected. Exhale, then you flex the toes, press through the heels, peel yourself up. I can stay a little bit low as you come slightly forward into the practice spine stretch we did a moment ago. Okay, if you're with your knees bent, of course, you can just go back into your starting sit position and releasing back. We're going to do 4 more. Releasing the vertebrae one by one, breathing in. With the bent legs, of course, you're just gently pulling yourself back up, using the legs. If you want to, you can go ahead and extend the legs and just finish off with a slight spine stretch forwards. It's totally up to you. Then you can bend the legs. Okay, there's loads of little modifications just to help you through the bits that are not comfortable, or that you don't find easy, or that you think your form is going a bit doolally. Point the toes when you're down if your legs are extended, guys. Don't forget, toes up to the ceiling as you pull yourself up over. And this is our last roll back. Down, down, down. And gently pull yourself back up. Well done, into sitting. Gorgeous. Well done, sitting nice and tall. We go ahead and pop our hands into our chest place and glue those legs together, guys. Okay, so gently, everybody now, legs extended and legs are glued together. Toes are towards the ceiling, and we're into a little prayer position with those hands again. Thumbs into your chest and fingers to your chin, pointing to your chin. Shoulder blades back and down, okay? So I want to go back to the rib cage being stacked again. So as you're sitting here now, they're perfectly equidistant between each rib. Okay, we're going to now just take a breath in, find space between the ribs, and just rotate towards your right for me. Just gentle rotation out towards the right there, keeping those legs together. Try not to let them shifty one in front of the other or one foot in front of the other. Come back to face your toes with a breath in. Space in the hula hoop, space in your spine, go left. Legs glued together, staying perfectly parallel in the hips, and then come back to center. This time I'd like you to go towards the right and pause. So breathe in, find the space, and head towards the right. Now, I want you to think about your left hula hoops under your, the left side of your hula hoop ribs underneath your left armpit. Go ahead and try and draw those hula hoops on the left slightly closer together, and then look a bit more around to the right-hand side. Just a little tiny bit more. Come back to center where you breathe in. Stack the ribs nice and central, the hula hoops equidistant, and over towards the left. Now it's under the right armpit. Those right hula hoops pull down ever so slightly, not by arching, but a gentle pull together, and then see if you can look a little bit further over the left-hand side. And come back to center. One more time either side. If that means nothing to you, don't worry. Just ignore it, okay? It's just a way of thinking. You've got your maximum range, and then you just dig a little bit deeper and look a little bit further by pulling the front side ribs together. One more time. To your left when you're ready. Take a breath in, find that space, heading to the side. Once you've got to your maximum range, The front ribs, the ones nearest to your toes, pull together slightly and look a little bit further. And back to center. Well done. And release the arms. Okay. We are going to take those legs wide, which might take a little bit of stress off the back of the hamstrings. If you are suffering, you can pop a cushion that's still maybe behind you under your bottom, or you can go ahead and you can perhaps just bend the knees slightly. This is for our sore this morning. Okay, we are taking our arms up towards the ceiling and we're double arm float, facing through to the center of your body, space between the legs. I'd like you now just to rotate the shoulders towards your left foot. So go ahead and just rotate towards your left foot. Yep, so you're looking towards that left foot. Now we have our arms staying high. We're going to now send our opposite arm, so that's our right arm towards our left little toe. Sweeping your left arm behind you. Look over your shoulder if you can to that left hand, and you're into your cross diagonal sling for the saw. A gentle, not too much of a pulse, as much of an extra intention into that reach. And then as you come back through to your starting position, lift your hands towards the ceiling, face through to center. Find the spinal stretch. Reach in, rotation now to your right foot. Okay, left hand over towards your right little tiny toe. Take your right hand behind you, palm up, and then just a gentle deepening into that reach. Is our little tiny second pulse, and come back up and hands towards the ceiling. Grow from those sit bones, rotation to the left, and reach, swinging that left arm behind you. Reaching trying to get your right ear to that left knee if you can. And as you come back through to center, facing to the middle with arms elevated, and then towards the right. Sweeping down, looking over that right shoulder, reaching that right palm to the sky, reaching the hands away from each other. We've got one more either side. And if you can really think of anything more as you head over towards this side, perhaps feel that sense of the front rib cage just slightly drawing together as you did a moment ago, and see if you can just think about them pulling together, and then find that extra millimeter of twist. But really only if you've got any space in your brain. Over towards the right. You're reaching the fingers away, your ears towards the knee or the calf. The palm is up, a gentle extra intention, perhaps an extra pull down the rib cage and twist if you can. And then gently releasing, arms down, down, down. Wonderful. Okay, I'd like to go ahead and take your left leg and just bring your left foot, sole of the foot up towards your right leg. Now, this might be towards the inside of your thigh. It might be that you need to draw that right leg in slightly. But what I want you to do is make sure your hips are still facing front. Okay, so you've not modified to try and get this position by twisting those hips off towards the left there. So hips are facing forward and your left leg is in. Okay, you can relax the feet a bit. This is a nice stretch off, so I don't want you to have any tension in the ankles. And then find that lift through the arms one more time, facing front to your front position. Now you can then go ahead and look over towards that right leg, twisting through the shoulders just as you did for saw. Now we're going to then spine stretch effectively down this leg. So forward fold, chin to chest, rib cage pulling down together, belly pulling in, and reach down towards that right ankle there. Feeling a stretch down towards that right ankle, through the leg, perhaps even around the back of that left glute and hip area. Hang here for a moment and just take a couple of breaths. Let the shoulders relax slightly if you want to. That's fine. That's not a problem. They can come up towards the ears. I don't say that often. That's okay. Okay, so guys, your left hand now, the one that's nearest to your inside or your bent leg, I want you to reach it slightly further forwards. And as you do so, you might start to feel that left armpit and rib cage lifting. Continue that lift of your left armpit and rib cage. Look away underneath your left armpit. Twist the rib cage. So you're looking towards the left side of the room there underneath your armpit, and really enjoy that stretch down the side of the body. And you release the left arm down, so you're in parallel with your chest to the floor, and then peel back up and sit center, switching sides. Left leg reaching out, right leg just tucking up to where it's comfy for you on this side. Hips still facing forwards, remember, and our double check is to elevate the arms and make sure you're still facing front. Good. Now you can rotate the ribs towards your left leg and take that tummy in, belly in, rib cage in, whatever you feel for forward folds, your chin to your throat space. And your little to-do list is done, easing yourself nose to knee and down, down, down that left leg. Feet are fairly flat, fairly relaxed. Shoulders are fairly relaxed.
the belly stays in, please. So you've got that sense of being able to pull the belly in and open the lower back. Reach this time your right hand slightly further away, so it's slightly longer, and start to look underneath that right armpit. As you lift the right armpit and chest and rib cage, look under that right armpit and feel that really gorgeous stretch. If you can, and you're down there around that foot area, you can also grab hold of that left foot if you want to for a little bit more purchase, totally up to you. And take a breath in and exhale. Good, looks really nice. Well done, guys. And then gently peel yourself back up, 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 up. Well done, fantastic. Over onto your fronts for a final piece of prone work. Okay, so let's get a little bit of everything onto your tummies. And we're going to have our hands down by our sides, please, for me. Forehead is down, hands down by your sides. Your thumbs are down on the mat. Your legs are kind of together. Yeah, they're not necessarily glued, but they're also not hip width. So they're neighbors, and just let the heels roll out. Your thumbs are down, your palms are facing into the side of your thighs. Feel the space in the whole of the spine. So you're really thinking you're growing nice and long. The belly can start to automatically start to lift up and away from the mat and in towards your spine area or the center of your core. Okay, again, we're going to think about the pelvic floors maybe slightly starting to wake up again if they've maybe nodded off. Alrighty, so from here we're going to breathe in. The thumbs are going to stay down and you're simply going to exhale and lift your forehead off the mat. You might feel your thumbs slightly slide towards the direction of your heels as you do so, and then we're going to come back down. We're just going to do 2 simple forehead lifts. As you exhale, imagine yourself the belly in, the pelvic floors in, but then equally growing long through the crown of the head. Yeah, okay, and down. Last one, breathing in. Now this might be enough for you this morning. Or perhaps on your next exhale, you can lift the thumbs off the floor and you can start to bring those arms so they're kind of in line with the outside edge of your thighs, perhaps the bottom cheeks. Okay, if that's good for you, then please do 2 more here, or just go ahead and just lift the forehead. No thumb lifts at all. Reaching through the arms if you are lifting. Okay, reach those fingertips towards your ankles. And on your next lift, we're going to add on 1 more thing. So we're going to breathe in, exhale, and lift. If your no arms lifted, just continue with repeats. Otherwise, with your hands lifted, I'd like you to turn your thumbs out to the side and your palms are down facing towards the floor. Breathe in, exhale, lift your knuckles to the ceiling and try and pull those shoulder blades together a little bit more. So you're lifting a little bit higher, using the back of those arms, thumbs outside, palms down. Turn the hands back towards your sides, so palms faced in, and then release onto the mat with a breath in. Exhale, go ahead and lift your forehead, arms are palm faced in. Breathe in, exhale, turn the thumbs out, palms down, and as you squeeze your shoulder blades, open the chest, lift a bit higher. And then think about the hands coming by your sides, and as you lower, you breathe in. Breathe in, exhale, lift. And breathe in, turn the hands. Exhale, and return the hands to the side and down towards the floor. 1 more time. Breathe in, rotate the hands, lift a bit higher, chest open and squeezing the shoulder blades. And for you, if you're just forehead floating, this is also your last one. Come back down to the mat and pause there. Well done. Bring your hands towards your shoulders. Okay, tuck your toes under, guys, and gently press your heels and so your bottom towards your heels. As you head over, just flatten the toes if you can, if that's okay for you. All right, and pause in your child's pose position here. Well done. All righty. We're going to just do 1 piece of side kick. We started a few minutes late, okay, by the time we've done all my magical button pressing. All right, so we're going to just keep on with 1 more piece here before bringing ourselves up. So I'd like to bring you into side kick series. We are going to be on forearm. Okay, forearm position. So we're going to think about this forearm position. Your legs are down the side of the mat for the moment, okay? And what I would like you to do is just reach around with this top arm and find your underneath of the rib cage. Okay, this underneath the rib cage. Now I want you to just lift. You'll feel that sense of lifting the rib cage with that arm underneath you. Okay, so once you've got that lift, maintain that position. Yes, okay, so then you can move this hand and it can go wherever it wants to go. For the moment, let's pop it on that top leg. Okay, so what I would like you to do is bend the lower leg to 90 and take your top leg to roughly hip height and flex at the ankle, please. Flex at the ankle, pulling the toes towards your kneecaps, lifting still that rib cage. We're going to take the leg forwards in flexion and point as you head behind you.
forwards in flexion. Now I'm going to find a bit of a movement here, a bit of a flow. So it's a front flex, point back, front flex, point back. Now, of course, we're trying to really stop this rotation of the ribs, so the pelvis. Yeah, so especially as you head back, try not to roll back and lose that connection through the torso, keeping still and stacked in the shoulders and hips. Flex forward and back. If you want to add the small pulses, you can add a small pulse as you head forwards and backwards. If you feel comfortable, so just a pulse, pulse, and one more, and pulse, pulse, and come to the front, taking your top foot towards the toe towards the front. Lift the rib cage, still going to breathe in, and just gently lift your leg and touch the back corner of the mat, and toe touching towards the front. So we're not flexing the ankle, we're not going from toe to heel, we're just toe tapping at the front and toe tapping at the back. The challenge is you want to get the leg higher, of course you slump into your hips, so you may not get perhaps as high as you would think, or perhaps you would ordinarily do, or perhaps you would when your arm is down. So be mindful. I'm not looking for great height or distance. I'm just looking to move that leg forwards and continue to maintain control through the core. And last one, if we can lift, so we pause with our leg towards the back, please for me. Elevate that back leg to hip height and take our top arm and reach forwards. Reach forwards in the opposite direction. So your back leg, your leg is reaching towards the back and arm is reaching towards the front. Go ahead now and rotate down to look at that front arm and feel that reach and stretch all the way through that side body from the hand to the leg. Reach, reach, reach. And then come back to center and bring your legs down and arms down. Swing round to the other side for our final piece this morning. And we're into our sideline. Forearm hold, legs are nice and long to begin with. Reach underneath to find that rib cage lift. Okay, your neck will automatically come with you. That's another sign. As soon as you lift the rib cage, the neck just follows into alignment. Yeah, okay. Bend the lower leg at 90, lifting the top leg, and you're at hip height, flexion to the ankle. Reach that leg a little bit more. Reach through that thigh. That's it. Well done. Come forwards into flexion with your sole of the foot in towards me, and then point towards the rear, and flexion to the front and point to the rear. Well done. Nice and calm through the upper body. Movement, of course, to this gorgeous thigh bone, and of course masses of control through the core. As we get going, perhaps you lower that rib cage, feeling like it's still nice and active, and into your little pulses if you can. 2 pulses to the front, pulse, pulse to the back, and front, pulse, pulse, and back, and front, and back. Last one, front and back. Pausing at the front now, touching the toe to the floor. Lift the rib cage, neck is long. Breathing in, and a rainbow hop, touch towards the back of the mat. Breathe in, and exhale. As you head over, breathe in, lift the rib cage, and down. Lovely, gorgeous. Shoulder blades back and down. Yes, good. Superb, wonderfully calm and controlled. And we lift and touch, and lift and touch. Last one. And then finishing off here with the leg behind you at hip height, reach and pause. Taking your opposite arm, so your upper arm towards the front corner of the room, and go ahead and just gently rotate the rib down, looking down towards your hand, and reach and stretch all the way through that leg, through that to the toes towards your fingertips. Enjoy that stretch. Hang out here for a moment. For 3, for 2, for 1. And bring your hand on hand, knee on knee, swiveling around your knees underneath you, reset, setting your hands into your 4-point kneeling position, tucking your toes under. Lifting now your knees off the mat into your hover. Shoulder blades are pulling down. Pull down with the shoulder blades, push the heels to the floor as you extend your legs into your V stretch. Your head settles between your elbows and arms. Gentle pedaling of the feet, just to mobilize and stretch either side of that lower spine. Okay, and this week we're going to walk our hands towards our feet. So pausing with your feet settled, and walk just small inchworm hand moves towards your feet, pushing your weight into the heels, tucking your chin into your throat space, and restacking the spine really super slowly, nice and slow, and into standing. Feet come to center. Well done. Bringing your hands towards the ceiling in a double arm float. Turn your palms away from each other and gently reach down towards the floor. Well done. Breathe in. Turn the palms away. Well done. And reach down to the sides. Okay, one more time. When you're ready, breathing in. Lift through the spine, feel weightless through the soles of the feet, feel super light, like you just about barely managed to reach the floor at all. You're light, you're weighting, you're weightless, I should say. Breathe in through the nose, close your eyes, make sure everything's restacked, equidistant between those ribs. Exhale, zip and hollow. Open your eyes, and we're done. Well done, well done. That should be the hour there or thereabouts. If you need to go, please Zoom. And then hopefully we'll see you next week, or in the recording, or at home in the studio, or in the studio. Bye for now. Bye.